What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It is I, your Morphinominal host, Adam Perez, back once again with a brand new review as we're about to get into Zenkaiger episode number 47, guys. That's right, we are inching ever so closely. We are almost there to rounding out Zenkaiger, and I gotta say, man, the momentum swing for the end of this Zenkaiger season has been monumental. I've absolutely loved the momentum swing here, and this, honestly, believe it or not, is probably one of my favorite episodes of the season now that we're getting a little bit more down and dirty, a little bit grittier, if you will, pushing towards the final battle in here. It feels as though all the pieces are finally coming together for this particular series to go ahead and bow out before we go ahead and get Don Brothers this upcoming March. So episode number 47 rather impressed me, guys. I mean, not just from soundtrack wise, I thought the music was spectacular in here in regards to really heightening the emotion for this episode, an episode that was already extremely emotional, really kind of giving Stacy the spotlight in here. I can't remember the actor's name that is in fact portraying Stacy, but fantastic job I thought he did in here and really bringing the tears, his remorsefulness, if you will, him holding himself accountable for his actions and things like that for this entire season. Really had a fantastic time with this. It really did feel as though the stakes just got raised in this episode before we even get to Bokawas, as we get the opportunity to see both generals in this episode finally going toe-to-toe with our Zenkaigers to make a statement, if you will, but it looks as though Bokawas definitely has a battle on his hands with our Zenkaigers come next week's episode. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Zenkaiger is definitely going to wrap up, but this episode definitely left a fantastic sort of lasting impression on me, if you will. But you know, we get the opportunity here to see that the god entity is in fact keeping his promise in regards to opening up a portal to the Tojitendo Palace, as we start off this episode with really Kaido and the rest of the team sort of saying farewell and wish us luck, Sichan and Yachan sort of thing. Really hoping that they certainly come back, right? Yachan certainly waiting for everybody to return. Really hoping that it goes as smoothly as it possibly can. But anytime you put your foot or think about entering sort of the villain's lair, there's definitely a lot that can certainly go wrong, and really hoping that everything comes together for this team. And so that's exactly what we see. Them going to the Tojitendo Palace and then immediately sort of being thrown back out, if you will, over to Kikaitopia. Like, for me, it was pretty cool to see just the enthusiasm level for the Zenkaigers. This has felt like a moment that they've been waiting for since the beginning of the season, and their enthusiasm level just running through the halls of the Tojitendo Palace I thought was pretty humorous. And then even getting the opportunity to see them get up to Bokawas and him quickly sort of thrusting them out. You know, one of the things that I loved about this journey to Kikaitopia was the fact that it really just sort of changed the mood. You know, the aesthetics of Kikaitopia, with it now being controlled by the Tojitendo, it just always feeling like it's gritty out there, overcast, right, dark clouds, you know, rain puddles everywhere. Like, I love the scene of Kaido and Vroom like losing their gear telingers and falling back into this gigantic puddle sort of thing, if you will, of like mud, and it just gave Kaido and Vroom that gritty look, like they've been through battle sort of all episode long. So the tone just really changed in this episode. It really wasn't as bright and fun loving as it certainly is. It definitely made you feel like the Zenkaigers are getting down to business. And again, one of the things that we said, that the stakes have definitely been raised in here. So great stuff in regards to Kikaitopia, and we're even getting an opportunity to see the Zenkaigers realizing that some of the Kikai noids that they remember on Earth are now being thrusted into Kikaitopia. So while it's definitely a mystery for them, I am going to be really intrigued to when we actually get the confrontation with our Zenkaigers and this god entity, to try and figure out what is his purpose in doing this, right? I mean, now that he sent the Zenkaigers away, we do see that there is an element of him that's kind of happy that they're sort of out of his hair, because now he gets to do whatever he wants to on Earth, with everybody thinking that they're going on to certainly accomplish their mission, right? Very much focused and determined to do something else, while this god entity is taking all these Kikai noids and sending them back to Kikaitopia. So I am curious why he's doing that. Is he really there to just try and send everybody back and then liberate Kikaitopia, or is there sort of another aspect to his plan that us as the viewer have not been privy to? So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen here. It feels like he's got something diabolical up his hands. Like, I don't necessarily trust him right now, but maybe he'll prove me wrong by the end of this particular season, to the point to where I almost wonder if this particular god that we're talking about now maybe will go on to become the villain for Dawn Brothers. Like, I really don't know. I really want to see what the connections are and how this kind of all works out. But the Zenkaigers on Kikaitopia, really fun to finally get the opportunity to see them infiltrate the Tojitendo base. But we quickly get to see that Ijirude wants to certainly stand in their way, as he's got himself a brand new mecha also. Ijirude's Destroyer Mark IV, which sounds like a Iron Man suit if you ask me. But really thrilled that he at least has himself a mecha. I mean, look, when you're rolling around like Johnny Five from Short Circuit, you know, you really only have but so much mobility that you can actually certainly use, right? So the fact that Ijirude has a mecha shouldn't surprise me. It feels like it's ripped right out of the Battle Caesar Robo that we wind up getting earlier on. Almost feels like Ijirude has utilized a lot of the stuff, that the gear that he gave to Stacy, sort of as just prototypes, not only for his own mech, but also maybe even Kaiser earlier on in this season as well. But really like the opportunity to get to see Majin, Gaon, and Jurin having their hands full facing off against Ijirude. I thought for the most part the action sequences that we wind up getting in here really worked for me, especially when it comes to the Zord battles and everybody finally getting involved. But, you know, for me, the episode really surrounds Stacy. For me, this was one of my favorite scenes in regards to Stacy, along with Yachan. The fact that we get the opportunity of Stacy finally apologizing. And in my notes, I put, wow, what a powerful scene. You know, I was always already impressed with the actor that plays Stacy, but to be able to see him take it to a whole nother level in here, having to confront his own evil ways, if you will, put them out in the world, hold himself accountable, acknowledge the fact that he sort of fucked up, you know what I mean? And really tried to make sort of everybody's life accountable. The fact that we get the opportunity to hear Stacy explain all that, apologize to Yachan, I thought it was just a fantastic scene. Just being able to see the error in his ways and apologizing to everybody just really goes a long way. It's one of those things, guys, and look, in today's society, the idea of holding yourself accountable and recognizing when you do something wrong and being man enough or woman enough to simply admit it, ask for forgiveness, and move on is something that we lack in our societies these days. It's almost like nobody wants to admit that they're wrong or that they've done no wrongdoing in their life, try and turn another cheek or try and push their blame onto somebody else, if you will. This is the type of stuff that I love seeing. Redemption stories of people who were maybe put in terrible positions in their life, turning into terrible people, acknowledging their wrong ways and sort of correcting them and becoming a much better person by the end of it. Like, it's okay to fail, right? It's okay to be wrong. This is the type of stuff that makes us better people because we learn from those mistakes. But unfortunately, again, it feels like very much in today's society, people try and skirt past accountability, don't want to be told that they're wrong, and then grow up to have just big egos and just become terrible people, if you will, right? So I love stories and messages like this, especially when you just feel the emotion is so raw with somebody like Stacy. Again, the performance was just top notch, just A+ in here. But for him to be able to be that emotional, admit his wrong, and then yet on the other side of things, have somebody like Yachan clearly scold him very briefly, right? Not let him get away with the nonsense and shit that he wind up pulling this season, but then immediately just embracing him into a hug, right? And letting him know he's got a comfortable place here, sort of thing. This has been, listen, the Stacy storyline has single-handedly been the only thing in Zenkaiger that has truly kept me going the entirety of this season. And I gotta be honest, they nailed the landing in regards to this. Now, look, there's 2 more episodes left when it comes to Stacy, right? Could this be a case of a great redemption story? Stacy goes out there to certainly help his new comrades and falls in battle, right? Him doing the very last helpful thing that he can possibly do after, making everybody's life miserable, if you will. I'm kind of hoping we don't get to that point. I want to see Stacy survive this particular season. But there is sort of like that full circle sort of feeling and vibe that I'm getting from here. I just want Stacy to be able to confront his issues, hold himself accountable, apologize, and then really at the end of the day, make it out the other end, not only alive, but also considered a hero to where he finally has the family that he certainly has always needed in his life, right? And I love this, the things that Yichan winds up saying to him in here. The idea that, a real hard time, you find yourself having a real hard time in a real hard place, right? Like the theme in here seemed very much like Stacy is a good person who just got caught up in all the wrong things for all the wrong reasons, and now is seeing sort of his wrongdoings, and seeing that there is another life out there for him. So, when she does say, you're clearly a good boy who's been in a really hard time, in a really hard place, I think is monumental for somebody like him to hear, right? The idea that he's heard from other people that you are a good person deep down inside, but not being able to recognize it yourself, having other people recognize it for you and bringing it to your attention, I think just really speaks volumes. So great stuff, man. Just emotionally, I thought they did the fantastic stuff great with Stacy, seeing him come to Kaido's aid towards the very end, him and Zox now officially teaming up to put that beat down over on Barashitara. This is definitely a storyline I'm really, really looking forward to. And again, really the only storyline that I feel like Zenkaiger has truly had that it's fully embraced. It has really seen through till the end. So kudos to the writing team for really having a fantastic storyline here for Stacy this season. And then, yeah, last but not least, the Barashitara facing off against, at first Kaido and Vroom, which felt something out of a horror story here where Barashitara is chasing them down. One of my favorite shots in this particular episode is when we've got Kaido and Vroom running away from Barashitara down one of the sewer tunnels, and you just see the rockets and missiles launching from him, just going past Kaido and Vroom, and the explosions as the two run from side to side along the tunnel sort of thing. I thought it was a brilliant shot. I thought special effects wise, it actually looked pretty good, and then get an opportunity to see Stacy come in, certainly save the day, and allow Stacy along with Zox to go ahead and finish Barashitara. Something very, very poetic about it, right? Like, I feel Stacy definitely has a bone to pick with his father. If we have seen Barashitara really get into any scuffles with anybody, it's definitely Zox. So these two characters definitely have a great definitely have a great payback certainly coming to Barashitara. And I even love sort of the Gold Tweaker family's entrance, sort of that slow superhero walk as they're singing their pirate song and things like that. I thought it was a brilliant shot, honestly, and really kind of got me hyped to kind of see what this battle is definitely going to ensue and how it certainly turns out. Last time I checked, they were certainly getting their ass beat by Barashitara, but hopefully the tides will certainly turn by next week's episode, especially with Ijirude sort of biting the dust and really kind of letting the Zenkaigers be a little bit free, even though I think when it comes to the Zenkaigers, just based off of the preview, it definitely looks as though they're probably going to be focusing on Bokawas. So we'll see what happens with Zox and Stacy when it comes to Barashitara. And I'm kind of curious as to whether or not we're going to get some more clarification on who this god entity certainly is in next week's episode, because I think we only have 2 more left. I think there's 49 episodes this season, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I believe it's 49. I'm kind of almost under the impression that maybe they're leaving this god entity for like the final battle. So that's one of the reasons why it kind of leads me to believe that maybe he's connected to Don Brothers. But again, this is just all certainly speculation on my part. But listen, remember, at the end of the day, these are just simply my A+ opinions. I definitely want to know yours. So what did you guys think about episode number 47? Let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. And remember, listen, if there's any character moments, storyline details, Easter eggs, gears used that you guys want to go ahead and certainly talk about, please go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the comment section, and we'll definitely go ahead and continue this discussion until next week. Also, real quick, in regards to Stacy, I did love that scene too, that when he does come to the rescue for Kaido, he learns of Vroom being a Tojitendo at one point in time. Which I will say this, I guess I never really considered Vroom as part of the Tojitendo. I mean, I believe he lived on Kikaitopia and then was sort of abducted and brought into the Tojitendo and made as like a janitor. So like the idea of you having the job title janitor against your will, I never really saw that as, oh yeah, Vroom was a part of the Tojitendo. It didn't seem like he knowingly wanted to necessarily be a part of them. So the fact that Stacy was like, oh, well, maybe things would have been easier if I had known that you were, right? Just the idea of me being on the wrong side of history, if you will, and then being a traitor towards them and making that bold move to join you guys. Stacy claiming that had he known that, it might have been a lot easier for him to turn tail on the Tojitendo and join with the Zenkaigers. I clearly doubt that, just based off of where Stacy's head is, the way that homeboy certainly thinks, right? He definitely feels like he's in his head a lot with a lot of baggage. But for me, I've truly loved the Stacy storyline in here all season long. So thank you for the writers for Zenkaiger for at least nailing that one this season. So 2 more episodes left, guys. We'll definitely see how this rounds up. But listen, at the end of the day, I want to know your thoughts. So let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. And I guess until next week, guys, we'll certainly talk to you later. But until then, do me a big favor, as always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Full throttle, non-stop. Have a good one, guys. Bye.